Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 5 stocks for Rona Round 2, and this is specifically tailored to if there is another lockdown, if we do have a second wave of the Rona, which of course would be a horrible thing, but not only is it a threat to human life, but it's also a threat to the economy and the stock market, and of course, many businesses across the United States and the world. So it's definitely a big deal for us investors here. And as we know with the recent stock market crash that we saw back in February, we hit a few circuit breakers on the way down, and it was just a scary situation overall. And thankfully, we have had sort of like a V-shaped recovery, aside from some of the stocks like airlines and bank stocks and stuff like that that are still trying to regain that momentum back to where it was at previously. But for the majority of stocks out there, like the tech stocks and stuff, they have pretty much recovered to the point that they were at previously and are now going ahead even further, such as with stocks like Microsoft and much more. So with this video, I want to talk about my top 5 stocks for Rona Round 2, ones that I think that could potentially help hedge against the rest of my other stocks that are performing poorly. So with these stocks, I'm looking at ones that may perform better in this environment than many of the other companies out here that we see within the stock market. So that's the primary focus. And also, if you do enjoy videos like these where I talk about my top 5 stocks, and of course stocks to buy out of different categories and different sectors, then please make sure to smash that like button, drop a like on the video. It really does help me out, and it also lets me know that you want to see more of these videos, because it is pretty fun to research these stocks and figure out other stocks that aren't just the ones within my portfolio. And also, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Around 85% of my watch time is actually from non-subscribers, so definitely feel free to hit that button. But anyways, first off, we're starting off with a number 1 stock, which is Amazon stock. And this has always been one of those stocks that I thought would be a pretty good option to just buy and hold forever until retirement, until it's finally time to cash out and, use that money for retirement or retire in Bali or something like that. So Amazon has always been one of those stocks that I think is a good one to hold forever until retirement. They are in such a good position right now where they basically have a monopoly over like the e-commerce marketplace, the online marketplace. Of course, you have eBay and Alibaba and stuff like that, but Amazon is really the top dog on top of everything else, and eBay is really in its own sector. It's like used items, and some of it's new as well, but it's not really as streamlined as Amazon is, in my opinion. And the e-commerce section of Amazon is really just one small aspect of their revenue. They also gain a lot of revenue from Amazon Prime, in which you pay like $120 a year for a membership service to where you get 2-day shipping on any items, and I think that's $50 if you're a student. So that's more big revenue for Amazon in addition to just selling the items. And then of course there's also the Amazon Prime Video service. You can order specific channels on Amazon Prime like HBO and Cinemax. Then there's also Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, which has actually been doing very well for them in terms of profit lately. And then there's many other aspects as well for the future, where a lot of people have been talking about Amazon getting into the self-driven car business, like with what Tesla is doing right now. I think that if Tesla does end up having like a legitimate competitor, it will be Amazon, or at least Amazon backed. So in my opinion, this is a fantastic choice for Rona Round 2, because as we can see, if we look at the chart right here on February 14th, that's really when this stock hit its peak. And then of course after that there was a downhill slide, and then once that recovery started, Amazon absolutely skyrocketed. And then I would also assume that Amazon was a lot more resilient in terms of this crash compared to other stocks, considering that a lot of people were ordering things online like Germ-X masks and stuff like that. So Amazon has been pretty profitable in terms of selling out of a lot of their items, and a lot of that is actually food items like Gatorade, chips, pop. A lot of that stuff has been out of stock on Amazon and is still out of stock. So they're making a lot of profit on items that are also sold at like Costco and Walmart, like the in-person stores, and people are choosing to just order those online. So there's a lot of revenue potential if there is a round 2 for this Rona here. Now keep in mind, Amazon is at an extremely high price right now, but if there is a round 2, then I think this stock will help hedge against the rest of the stocks performing poorly, because out of all the stocks in the stock market, this is the one that is more likely to do well compared to the rest of them if there is another quarantine where everybody has to stay in lockdown. For the second stock, we have Microsoft stock, and if you're familiar with my channel already, you know that I'm a huge Microsoft bull. As you can see right here, around 45% of my portfolio consists of just Microsoft stock. So I have a tremendous amount of faith in this stock long term. This is another one of those stocks that I think is just a good option to just buy and hold forever. And before I go on any further, I forgot to mention this, but anything that I say or have said in this video is not to be considered financial advice. It is simply me just sharing my thoughts and opinions about the market, and of course my personal picks for this list. But like I said, Microsoft is a fantastic long-term stock in my opinion. This company really turned itself around in the past 5 years, and that is why we have seen so much consistent growth on this stock market graph right here. It's up 307% over the past 5 years, and as you can see with the most recent crash, that is a pure V-shaped recovery right there. And in my opinion, Microsoft stock was actually pretty resilient on its way down. It dropped significantly, of course, but I think it was a lot more resilient in terms of other stocks. And of course, when it did hit that bottom, it bounced back up extremely fast. And I actually purchased a lot of shares near the bottom right here. And as you can see, I've gained a significant amount of money from those purchases. So far, I'm very happy with Microsoft stock. And of course, a lot of their revenue comes from programs and software, stuff that doesn't have like a lot of cost overhead. So it's just simple software that once the money is spent on research and development and developing that software, then after that, there's pretty much no cost to charging people for that service other than the initial investment to create that software. And you also have Microsoft Edge, and a lot of people don't know about this, but the browser for Microsoft Edge is actually much better for watching things like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video than your typical Google Chrome browser. When I watch movies and TV, I actually switch to Microsoft Edge because the quality difference is very significant. So that's one good thing that they have going for them. You have the Azure program, you have the new generation Xbox coming up, which a lot of revenue potential is coming from as well. And there's many other aspects to this company, such as like cloud services and email and much more. And as you can see, it also tends to beat earnings consistently. Of course, Q1, Q2, and so on, it is beaten earnings, and it is 3 out of 5 stars for the Morningstar research report. And its current share price is actually under the analyst fair value, which is 196, and the current share price I think is about 188. Yeah, so this is a fantastic stock in my opinion, especially a stock that I think you can just purchase and hold it for the long term and expect it to do well. I feel like it's one of those stocks, and it does have a AAA rating as well, in which I think only one other company has that right now. Next out for the third stock out of 5, we have Netflix stock. And I know this is one of those that is a little bit overpriced right now. As you can see, it absolutely skyrocketed once it hit the bottom on March 20th. And then ever since then, it has gone up tremendously. It went from $332 to $454. So there has been a significant gain with Netflix. And as you can see, the last 2 years or so, it hasn't been very good for this stock because of so much volatility. But if you do get an opportunity to buy at a low point like this, especially like on the 21st of December and the 22nd of September, then I think those are some fantastic opportunities to buy this stock. And of course, we had a bottom on March 20th as well for $332 for the share price. And of course, this stock took a little bit of a hit, as did pretty much every other stock in the stock market when we had these initial drops and circuit breakers. But when it came to recovery time, this was one of those stocks that performed extremely well because, of course, as we know, Netflix has a primary focus on video streaming services. And of course, with everyone on lockdown and on unemployment, there's really not much to do at the house other than just watch a bunch of TV shows and binge watch a ton of content. So with everyone on lockdown and sort of getting tired of the people that you live with in your own home because you're around them 24/7, then Netflix is just one of those nice breaks that you can have where you just sit back, chill, don't have to talk to anyone or anything, and you can just watch a movie. And it's one of my favorite things to do is to get on Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. That's what I do when I'm not recording these videos. That's usually what I do at nighttime, watch some TV or something like that. And Netflix also has a ton of original content, and that's a huge advantage that they have over a lot of these other streaming web services. Of course, there is some original content on Apple TV and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, but it just doesn't even hold a candle to the amount of original content that Netflix has. And I really do think that Netflix is is the future in terms of TV. And I think that a lot of entertainment companies will be tailoring movies and television shows to put on the Netflix platform in the future more consistently than they are doing with like movies just in the theaters and TV shows on TV. And another thing to keep in mind is that when a whole team of people, including the cast as well, create a movie, in my opinion, it's a lot easier for that movie to be recognized if it were to be just released on Netflix instead of just a theater, because as we know, you have to drive to the theater, you have to, sit in their own area that they have for you to watch a movie, whereas with a new release on Netflix, you can pretty much watch it anywhere you want, and it's available immediately at that date. So people that are really excited about watching that movie can watch it as soon as it hits that time date that it's released. So I think there's a lot more accessibility when it comes to new content being put out on Netflix instead of simply being pushed into a movie theater. Next up, we have Sony Stock, and in my opinion, there's a lot of potential for some big gains coming up within this year because, of course, as we know, the PlayStation 5 is coming out. They recently announced it and showed it off just a few days ago. Some of the new games that are coming out as well, and I'm talking about like AAA games, big games that people have been looking forward to, and games that people have been hoping that there would be sequels to and stuff like that. Of course, you had the huge game Horizon Zero Dawn, and now there's a sequel to that on the PS5. There's another Resident Evil game coming out. There's also the Demon's Souls remake, which I think a lot of people will be buying the PlayStation 5 just for that game alone, and I may actually do so myself for that. Then there's also Ratchet and Clank. And of course, with Sony, it's not just the PlayStation 5 coming out, but they get paid for other services as well, such as the PlayStation Store. There's the PlayStation Service, which is like $60 for 12 months. So they get a lot of other revenue from this as well. There's Sony accessories, and then there's also the Sony Motion Picture Group, which is of course involved in the movie industry. So in my opinion, there's a lot of revenue potential with Sony. And of course, if there is a Rona Round 2, then that means a lot of people are going to be at home playing on their consoles and playing on their PlayStation 4 until the PlayStation 5 gets released. And then when the PS5 does get released, I'm predicting that the sales will be pretty good for that one. And of course, as we know with new console releases, a lot of the times they sell out online and you can only get them in stores. And it's almost similar to like iPhone releases back in the day where people would line up outside of the store. But if there is a round 2 of the Rona, then that means that it will be likely that the new consoles will be sold out online. So there's a lot of revenue potential coming up with a new console this year. And of course, with many other aspects of this company as well, when it comes to first-party developers that are directly associated with Sony. You have PlayStation Plus, which is $60 per year, the PlayStation Store. So there's a lot of revenue potential, especially with the stuff that is pretty much software only. That's much better for profits considering all of the expenses that goes into making a physical disc and a physical case. So in my opinion, there's a lot of profit potential for this one, and especially with a lot of people at home, of course, they're going to be using their consoles and Sony products. But as you can see right here, we haven't recovered just yet to that previous peak that we were at. But keep in mind, the crash actually started occurring before the actual crash occurred among the rest of the stocks. So this is probably due to an event that may be aside from just the Rona. And also the price that Sony is at right now for the share price is actually undervalued according to the fair value. Just a tiny bit undervalued because the fair value is 68 and the current share price is about 68, 67, 67. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential in terms of this stock for the upcoming year, and especially in Rona Round 2 if there is one. And then finally, for the fifth stock, number 5 out of 5, we have Shopify stock. Now, keep in mind, especially, I put this as number 5 because it's an extreme amount of risk on this one, in my opinion. As you can see, this stock has absolutely skyrocketed within the past 5 years. It's up 2,650%, which is absolutely unheard of. Shopify is one of the biggest growing stocks in the stock market that I've seen, especially over the past 5 years. This is just unexplainable in terms of the amount of growth that this stock has experienced within just the past 5 years or so. But like I said, keep in mind, this is definitely a big risky stock, but it's also one of those stocks that has been at a premium price for the past few years. And of course, people realize that. And although there has been some bearish sentiment on this stock alone, there's also a lot of Shopify bulls as well, and that's the reason it has skyrocketed so much lately. And one of the reasons that I think this could be a good option for Rona Round 2 is if you look at the most recent peak before the crash, it was at 531, then it hit its bottom at around 346, and then ever since then, of course, there was a tiny bit volatility right here, but ever since 357.65, this stock has skyrocketed skyrocketed all the way up until $8.25. So this stock greatly benefited from the Rona situation because, of course, there's a lot of people selling products online. As we know, it becomes more difficult to earn money in person with, of course, a lot of these businesses being closed down and stuff. So people create their own businesses online, and especially this has been happening during quarantine. You have situations where Shopify is being used by content creators for selling products, such as like the Jeffree Star makeup kit release, which I know made an absolute ton of money. Makeup is extremely profitable for these beauty YouTubers, and Shopify is one of those things that a lot of them use to sell their makeup kits. So it's a big gainer, especially for those individuals that want to transition to an online business like an e-commerce site or a website where they sell their own products that they created. So there's a lot of revenue potential for Shopify, especially during lockdown, where people are trying to figure out some way that they can make money, and a lot of individuals have become successful because of Shopify and because of their e-commerce store. So there's definitely some potential with this stock, but keep in mind that it is at an extremely high premium price right now, so you are taking a risk of it not performing well like expected if there is a round two, or it's simply just crashing and dropping significantly. I'd say if there is another stock market crash, this is one of those that will probably drop significantly at first along with the rest of the stocks just because it's already at a premium price. But then I think when the dust has settled and people realize that it's another lockdown situation, then this stock may skyrocket once again because, like I said, there's a lot of revenue potential with people trying to find other ways to make money because they lost their normal jobs where they have to go into work physically, whereas people are learning that you can finally earn money online. And in my opinion, online is going to take up a lot of the revenue that people get from their jobs in the future. I think that online is the future, and more jobs are being created online as we get farther into the future. And of course, as we experience situations like the lockdown, and you have companies like Twitter that are just telling their employees to just stay at home and work at home because it actually works. And of course, it saves cost as well when it comes to having a building for workers to go into and do their work. So it's a situation where it actually saves companies money as we realize that it might be more efficient for people to work at home. So I think there is a lot more potential for Shopify in the future, but keep in mind it is at an extremely high price right now. Personally, if a new investor were to ask me should they invest in Shopify stock, I would just say no because it is too risky, but I just wanted to add it onto this list because I think there is a lot of potential for it to grow once again if there is another wave of the Rona. However, like I said, the current price is very expensive right now, and even in my personal risk tolerance, I don't know if I would personally invest in it. I haven't chosen to do so just yet. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And if you would like to see ones like these in the future, please make sure to smash that like button, drop a like on the video. It really does help me out. And of course, it lets me know that you want to see more of these in the future. So if I see a lot of love on this video, then I may consider doing another one. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And also, if you would like to begin investing, feel free to use my referral link in the description below to Robinhood and Webull. If you sign up with that link, then we'll both get some free stocks. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Stay safe out there.